Hey guys, how's it going? Andrew here, Nuff Said Cards on Christmas Eve. Hope everyone is doing well. Got out of work a little bit early today and have pretty much been sitting around the house eating nonstop for like the last 3 hours. So figured I would take a break from that and make this video, which I have been thinking about doing this for a while. I'm going to show you some baseball card reference books that I have. And some of these I use real frequently. I think these might be useful for some of you out there. So just not going to go into great detail about each one, but just going to give a brief description and show you the books. The first one here is called Judging the Authenticity of Early Baseball Cards by David Cycleback. And this is a really useful book if you're into pre-war cards, and especially if you want to consider buying raw cards. I would highly recommend this book. It has some great tips on, it shows you like how the cards were printed and the different techniques that they use to print the cards, and the kind of cardboard stock that they use, and it really is helpful in determining if a card is legit or not. Has lots of little tidbits of information, like this shows a picture of the lettering on the front of a T206, and you can see, if you look under magnification, that the exterior of the print, the kind of border of the lettering, is a little bit darker. It's a little bit hard to see in this picture, but actually not just in T206s, that's in a lot of pre-war cards. That's a real easy way of determining if you're looking at a legit early card or a modern reproduction. And a lot of great information in this book. The best thing about this book is that you can actually access it for free, the entire book, online. I'm pretty sure it's cycleback.com. And you can actually print out this whole book if you wanted to for free, and actually has color pictures online. These are black and white. But really good book, a lot of great information. I would recommend that one. Next up, we have the Encyclopedia of Baseball Cards by Lou Lipsett. And this is actually 3 volumes all in one. The first volume is 19th century cards. Second volume is early gum and candy cards. And the third volume is 20th century tobacco cards. And these were originally released individually in the mid-'80s, and this book is out of print, but a while back they re-released it all in one book together. I actually use this book a lot. You can find this book on Amazon occasionally, sometimes this version with all 3 together and sometimes individually. You might be able to find it on eBay also. I found this one on Net54. And this has a lot of great information about each of the sets that fall in these categories. When and where the cards were printed and how they were distributed. Lots of great information about different variations of the cards in the sets. This is one that I really like. The prices are, not accurate. They're 30 years old. I want to say the Honus Wagner is listed in here for 20,000 bucks. But if you can find this book, if you're into pre-war cards, I would highly recommend this one. All right. Next up, probably a lot of you have this book or have seen this book. This is called Mint Condition: How Baseball Cards Became an American Obsession by Dave Jamieson. This was released, I think, in 2010. And it's a really quick, interesting read. It has some colored pictures in the middle here, and kind of goes through like the history of cards, from the earliest, cards in the 1800s up to modern cards, and different things affecting the hobby and the industry. That's a good book too. I'd recommend that one. Next up, The Card: Collectors, Con Men, and the True Story of History's Most Desired Baseball Card. Pretty self-explanatory, but another really good read. A lot of information about the Honus Wagner card and some of the history of that, and including some of the stuff that went on with the Gretzky card being trimmed, etc. So that's a good book. Next up, And I want to say that Dave, Blue Jacket 66, and also Eric, those back pages, have shown this book in their videos, but this is the Beckett Almanac from 2003, so this is a 15-year-old book, but I really haven't felt a need to update this since I don't really collect modern cards. This is just really a useful book. It has pretty much, a comprehensive list of all the different sets going all the way back to the 1800s with checklists, and the prices are not accurate, but used more, much more useful as like a checklist and seeing what, cards exist and a little bit of information about each set. Every collector should have this. So there you go, the Beckett Almanac. Next up, the vintage baseball card, standard catalog of vintage baseball cards. This is the 6th edition. Also had the 4th edition here, and there's really no need to update this like I did every couple of years. It's I don't think there's a whole lot of new information being put in each edition, but kind of similar to the Beckett Almanac, but a little bit more information on the pre-war sets, the vintage sets. Again, it's a great reference tool. I would recommend that anyone who's interested in buying these types of cards gets this book. And don't, use the prices as something that are going to be accurate, but definitely a good reference. Next up, the T206 collection. This is by Tom and Ellen Zappala, and they have a couple books. These are more like a coffee table book. They have one on Cracker Jack cards. I want to say they're doing one on the 1952 Topps set. This is a really nice book. It has color pictures and information about each card and the players and their stats. And anyone who's interested in T206 cards, I would recommend this book. Just reading through it and looking at the pictures and the information about the players, I find it interesting. And Tom Zappala actually hosts a radio show with Rico Petrocelli that's broadcast every week. It's actually on PSA's YouTube channel. I think they upload the episodes every Thursday. And it's pretty entertaining. Check that out if you haven't yet. Next, this book is called Cardboard Gods. Didn't really know a lot about it when I bought it, but just kind of saw the title and saw the picture on the front and figured I would give it a look. I was kind of hoping it would be more about cards, maybe with a little bit of stuff about this guy's life, also, but it turned out to be kind of the opposite. It's a lot of stuff about this guy's childhood with a little bit about cards. So I read the whole thing and it was interesting, but not as much about cards as you would think. So there's that one. And then finally, I've shown this book before, Game Faces, Early Baseball Cards from the Library of Congress. This is another great book. Awesome, beautiful color pictures, information about early cards and the sets and the players. Really a nice book to read through. And I would recommend this one. Got this one on Amazon. Most of these you can get on Amazon. With the exception of the Lou Lipsett book, which actually sometimes you can. If you search, you can find it, but that one's out of print. But anyhow, that's it, guys. Hope this is something that some of you find interesting and maybe pick up a couple of these books. Hope everyone has a great Christmas, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.